Hello and welcome to Say Yes to You and Why You Don't podcast for women who are great at taking care of others, but not necessarily as great at taking care of themselves. I am your host, Claudia Braun, mindset and lifestyle coach. And today we are talking about all the things that we have talked about before. How do you make that happen in your life, right? So we did this 6-week wellness series. We're going to jump into, well, actually, how do you actually put any of that into practice and make it stick? And if you have any questions from today's podcast, or you have any comments, or you would like to hear things that are relevant in your life that you'd like me to cover in this podcast, I want you to leave a message at 224-707-1640. 224-707-1640. Drop me a line and let me hear from you. So how do we make things stick, right? So just completed this 6-week wellness series. Started out talking about food. We talked about movement. We talked about mind. How do you shift these sabotage patterns? We talked about spirituality. We talked about creativity. And now I want to kind of just wrap up all of that and dive into the conversation of, so how do you make these practices last, right? I mean, so many times when I begin with my clients or I talk to women out and about what they're doing in their life or the changes they want to make, so often they'll tell me that they start to do things, but then they don't follow through. They might put a day on their calendar that they know is just for themselves, and they'll see it, and then they'll bypass it, and they won't spend that time with themselves. They'll just decide that I'll just put something else in it because they can. So how do you go from being somebody who does take care of other people at the expense of yourself, who does have, as we spoke about in this mindset, that mindset of being that pleaser, or that mindset of being that high achiever who feels like all your time needs to be to being productive and making things happen in the world? Or what kind of person are you if you're not giving to all these people? If that's your mind, how do you shift that to be somebody who actually becomes somebody else, who becomes that person who is kind, is generous, but also makes time for themselves? So that's what this is about. And if you're new to listening here, know that I have begun this journey of my podcast based on the years of time that I had prior to beginning my wellness practice of not taking such great care of myself. I'm fortunate to say that for the last 30 years, I have been on this journey. But prior to that, I was more likely to put somebody else first. I was more likely to think about them before I thought of myself, to think about if I wasn't taking care of somebody else, I didn't know what I should be doing. I was that person. And I always tell my clients, anything that you're experiencing in your life, I've experienced it too, to some degree or another, which is why I know the power of what happens when you put these practices into place, and how easy it is to back burner this stuff, think it's not important, think there's something wrong with you because you are wanting to put this in place, and so then you don't. So how do you shift from being somebody who does put everybody else first, does make your commitments to yourself not really matter? And how do you become somebody who takes your own commitments to yourself as seriously, as committedly as you do to those of others? So like I said, I've been in this journey for a few decades now, and here's what I know has worked for myself and what I know works for my clients. And that is support and accountability. Think about it. Why is it that you put time on your calendar that says you're going to spend this hour, 30 minutes, whatever it is that you put on your calendar for yourself? Either you're going to go to the gym, or you're going to go make meals for yourself, or you're going to spend time in a creative project, or you're going to meditate, and then you bypass it and don't do it. Why do you think it doesn't happen? What's the answer that comes up when you think about why it doesn't happen? So many times my clients say, I just quit on myself. I can't help it. I can't help it. I just quit on myself. And that's the thing. We are programmed from a very young age. Like I say so many times when I work with my clients, when I'm giving a talk, these ways of being have been programmed into us. It didn't just happen, right? You didn't just suddenly learn to give your time away to everybody else. It's been happening for years. And not only that, it's also been something that has been programmed into you since you were a child. Most of us saw parents doing that, usually our mom, but maybe we saw our grandmother doing it. Or maybe that's what we were told when we were in school. Or maybe that's what the religious institutions were telling us. Or maybe that's what you saw all of your extended family doing, or all the people in your community, or all of your friends. That's how they are. So that's how you think, well, that's how I'm supposed to be. So when you have all of these ways of experiencing it drummed into you, you are programming your mind to believe that's the way it has to be. And when you believe that that's the way it has to be, it can't change. And so why support and accountability is the key to turning this all around is because when you try to change in a vacuum, you're going to do what you've always done. Even though you may know, definition of insanity, do what you've always done, you're going to get what you always got. You can know that intellectually, but putting it into practice, hard. Doesn't mean there's something wrong with you, and it doesn't mean you can't do it or you won't be able to do it. What it does mean is that you're getting feedback. You're getting feedback from who you are in this moment, who you've been before. You're showing yourself, this is how I know myself. I don't carry through on things. I don't honor the commitments I make to myself. That's what I know about myself. So when you know that about yourself, you need the antidote to that. And that is support and accountability to do things different. The thing is that when you're used to doing things a different way, and most of the people in your world, friends, neighbors, colleagues, family members, and all this programming has taught you the way to be is to be the way you are, it's not very likely you're going to change. And it doesn't mean, again, you're not wrong, bad, broken, none of that. It just means you need to shift it and to do something different. And what I know changes the configuration. It's like putting all these ingredients into a pot. When you put all these ingredients into a pot and you just let them sit there, nothing much happens. Stir it all up, turn the heat on, something happens. And it's the same thing. When you're starting to shift your mind, it can put all these things in. But if you don't have something, a change agent, it's not going to stick. And that's what support and accountability does. It helps you to reflect back to you who and how you want to be in the world, in your life and in the world. And if you don't see people in your life doing it, people in your life, in your immediate circle, maybe you see somebody way far away from you. You hear me talking about people. You know people change. But it can feel so hard when you are feeling so far from it and you don't have the experience of consistency or doing things differently. And that really is the key and the antidote. And I know that in my life, these 3 decades that I have of change happening is only because I got support and accountability. Because like you, I tried on my own to do things differently. I read all the books, I listened to people talk, and I thought, I should be able to do this. And I was very good at self-diagnosing myself of what I should be doing. But it became a very lonely journey and a very lonely experience of trying to trial and error figure things out. And doing it on my own, I had no one reflecting back to me, this is okay, this is the way, this is how we do it, what happens when things come up. And that's where having others on the path with you just makes such a difference. So as you're listening, when you think about the support, the accountability in your life, who in your life is that person who can support you? Who in your life reflects back to you? Yeah, I know how that is, and here's what I did. Or have you tried this? Who is that person? Who are the people? And if you don't have that, the key really is to have it. There really is no way around it, because the majority of people, research shows, do the same thing over and over again and expect different results. They make the same New Year's resolutions and change doesn't happen. They don't lose the weight. They don't begin the exercise program. They don't do any self-improvement. Things stay exactly the same. And then they end up feeling very frustrated and discouraged, as if there's something wrong with them, and feeling like they've dug themselves in a hole that they can't get out, and end up feeling extremely stuck. And that's that feeling of stuckness when it feels like things just won't change. But the good news is, it doesn't have to stay that way, because change is so possible. Change is so possible because the key to change is knowing what it is that you need, and then moving from knowing to doing, and getting the support and the accountability to be able to put into practice that which you want to experience. And to me, that's where the power is. As somebody who's been coaching people for 13 years and on a journey of my own, I get so excited about talking about when you have the right tools and practices in place, you can absolutely experience that which you desire, no matter how messed up you feel in this moment. I have worked with people in their 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s. Doesn't matter what their stage, doesn't matter what they're going through, doesn't matter how miserable they feel. When they get the support and the accountability to follow through on a plan, their life turns around. And that's it. And most of the people without support and accountability never experience that. And which is why I get so excited about giving my clients and all the people I talk to about the power that you can experience when you tap into a different way of being. The tools and strategies that I work with have been Harvard researched, and they have been shown that most people get in their own way. They don't intend to. It's like the week that I talked about mindset. They don't intend to sabotage ourselves. Nobody wants to do that intentionally. But like I talked about before, this programming that is in place makes it almost impossible not to. And this is why it's so important to get the support, accountability, and the tools to help turn around this programming and this practicing of doing things in a way that don't bring the results that you truly desire. And isn't it good to know? I mean, that's the thing that I am so aware that I feel grateful for, thankful for, that I tapped into early on in my journey, that when I realized I was getting nowhere doing things on my own, and that when I got the support and accountability, things seemed to, almost like riding a magic carpet, turn around. And that's pretty fantastic, because most of the time we feel like, but I don't know what to do. And when you do know what to do and you access it, then you experience something completely different. So the antidote to staying where you are, to not getting the results that you want, is making sure you have the support and the accountability to reach that which you desire. And so today, my opportunity in offering to you is to ask yourself, where's my support? Where's my accountability? And if I don't have it, what's that going to look like that I get it for myself? And one of the things that I like to offer you is an invitation to reach out to me and join a group that I am putting together for women who are great at taking care of others, not so great at taking care of themselves, and giving them the tools and strategies to be able to manage their mind, to be able to prioritize themselves without the guilt, without the obligation, and really be able to start saying yes to themselves and have a group of others around them to support you, to begin to move through these challenges in your mind that have been stopping you in the past. As a result, experience more peace, more presence, more energy. It takes a lot of energy to be acting out in default patterns. But when you're acting from a place of truth, guidance, direction, internal calm and peace, not feeling revved up and anxious, you regain your energy. You regain your clarity of mind. This is an amazing practice available to you. We are beginning on Monday, this coming Monday, June 16th, and I welcome you to reach out to me. And so that number that I left in the beginning, where you can leave a comment or a message, I invite you to reach out to me at 224-707-1640, and let's talk about how this could work for you. So again, I am Claudia Braun, mindset and lifestyle coach for women who are great at taking care of others, not so great at taking care of themselves. And I will look forward to seeing you next week as we continue on this journey of saying yes to you. Bye for now.